Today's AskReddit post. What feels rude but actually isn't? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Asking for money that is owed to you. It seems awkward and rude, but it really isn't. Or at least shouldn't be. Not being available 24/7 despite being reachable 24/7. Oh, this is a big one for me, and it's only gotten worse since COVID. Home and not working does not mean I want to spend all day chit-chatting on FB. As a long-time work-from-home employee, I've had to remind people of this countless times. Just because I work from home, it does not mean that I live at work. Yes, since I've been working from home because of COVID, I'm constantly getting IMs at about 5:25 for a quick call that I know will be an hour long. Or asking one of us to have a look at a bug that just came in because politically it looks much better to get the bug fixed tonight than first thing tomorrow morning. I just turn my laptop off when I see them. I've noticed more and more people scheduling meetings during lunch now that everyone's working from home. I try really hard to make sure to take that hour for myself in the middle of the day, just like I used to in the office. But at home, it seems like everyone thinks any time is fair game. Ending a conversation with someone who is legit trying to commandeer your time. This is a really big issue in law offices, especially elder law. The old people are just so lonely they make connections with their attorneys regardless of how their attorneys feel about them and latch onto it. Honestly, it's really sad, and I feel really bad every time I have to hang up on an 80-year-old woman because I have to do shit. But it is what it is. As a family lawyer, I can relate. You are a client's shoulder to lean on during a divorce. But that lean is a one every 6 minutes. Most catch on after the first invoice. Calling out of work when I am sick. Most act like I'm faking it, so makes me feel bad whenever I need to due to medical issues. I tried calling out once and was told to come in. I'd been vomiting all morning. Couldn't get it to stop. So I drove at work. Driving 20 minutes. I had to pull over twice to puke. I get to the office and I tell the boss, and he insists I get to work. In my office, I puke in the trash can 3 times in an hour. He calls me into his office to assign me some project. It's going good. I feel somewhat better. I go over to his desk to retrieve some papers and proceed to vomit all over his desk suit. He screams at me, threatens to fire me, and I told him I ducking told you I was sick and vomiting all morning. After he calmed down, he agreed that he handled it wrong. We both went home early, though he went back. I got 5 days off to recover. I felt better almost immediately after puking in his office, so I enjoyed the paid time off. Who are these piece of shit humans who think suck it up and come in anyway is an appropriate response to someone telling you they're sick? A. If you don't trust your employee and think they're faking it, you suck at hiring and should get someone you do trust instead. B. If you legitimately don't care, you're a sociopath and have no business managing people. For a long time my rules was, better to go in and send home than call out. I work for a hospital now. They don't like that rule. Their rule is, you sick, stay home. Now during COVID, it's stay the fuck home. One day I feel the cold striking. You know, the first day of symptoms that is always the less worst day, and then you are hit by a storm of pain and the strong desire to die the next morning. Well, naive teen me thought it good to warn my boss about it, who proceeded to doubt me and insist I come in the next day. Next day, I come in, white as a sheet, feverish, dizzy as hell, can barely keep my eyes open, can't talk, with 2 boxes of tissues and my own small bin, because I don't want any of my co-workers emptying a bin full of my snotty tissues. Boss sent me back as soon as I stepped in. I asked him to call a taxi because I did not have the strength to take the subway and walk back home. Boss paid for it and added an extra apology. Not hanging out with people because you are tired. I've started being straight up. Duck it. I'm not feeling fun tonight. Can we hang out tomorrow instead? Honestly, that's a really great line. When you're at a craft fair or farmer's market or some other outdoor event where people have a bunch of tables set up to sell their wares, go up to a table to check out what they're selling and walk away. Either you don't like what they have, Or they're selling their nice soaps for way too much money. They are looking at you this whole time with this happy, expectant look on their face. Like this is it. I'm going to get a sale. Or worse, when you ask them what they're all about, and they go into this long pitch about their thing, only for you to realize that you're not interested. I always feel like a complete arsehole for going, yeah, well, okay, bye. Passing people who are walking really slowly. Oops, sorry. Just going to squeeze by. Sorry about that. I love and appreciate the Midwestern energy of this comment. My thoughts exactly. Oop, just gonna sneak right past here. Not being able to do favors for someone when asked. When someone asks me to do a favor without specifying, I always reply, I'll try. What is it? The try is the key word, because I reserve the right to assess if the favor is doable. I won't even go that far. I'll just ask, what is it? It isn't reasonable to expect any level of agreement until you tell me what you're asking for. When I was growing up, I was at a friend's house and she asked if I could do her a favor and I said it depends on what it is. Her dad overheard me say this and flipped out at me. He said you are always supposed to say of course. Anything and that anything less than this was rude. Especially if it was to a friend. It traumatized me for life. Her dad was an idiot. Actually, I am not in the mood of talking right now. Asterisk. Deleted. TBH, I always wish I'd been able to say I want to eat dinner alone when living with and so. Sometimes I just want to eat a microwave potato in peace and not worry about cooking a decent meal for 2 people. On those nights, usually we call it every man for himself dinner. Either because one of us wants to eat earlier later or something different or not hungry. It's okay to want to do that occasionally since we eat together every night otherwise. Saying no to anything. I had a friend who said he envied my ability to say no without explanations. Some guy on the bus asked him if he had a cigarette. He apologized. Told him he smoked his last cigarette earlier. The guy then asks me and I say no. My friend afterwards says you don't smoke. Why didn't you tell him that? Because I don't feel like I need to give an excuse. Sometimes it's nice to do the opposite too and give someone your exact reasoning. I get sales calls at work a lot, and my co-workers sometimes get a chuckle at how direct I am. I always start with a friendly no thanks. But if they press me I usually say something like I have no interest in your services and I'm not going to answer any of your questions. Which ends the conversation every time. Do you happen to be a small Irish man that I work with? Leaving a party function early, or even at a reasonable hour. A lot of people take offense if you leave before the end and it's a drag. Yep. We had an issue in the friend group a while back because a couple of people were bad about trying to make you stay longer. It just felt like a giant guilt trip. Once I and others made our feelings clear, they are much better about it. Asking for assistance. Walking into a restaurant and then walking out without getting anything. You might think the cook will be offended but they're probably just relieved that they don't have to do more work. Same with shops. I didn't nick anything, I just wanted to browse. During summers, I go into random stores just to get hit with that sweet AC and escape the heat for a minute or two. Correcting someone if they mispronounce my name. Calling people out for social misconduct, as in saying they are coming in 5 minutes only to not hear from them again. Mildly specific, I know. Calling out someone who cuts in line, and even though what they did was rude, it feels weird and wrong to be confrontational. I get so mad about people not wearing masks despite it being the law right now, that I don't know how to confront people about it. My hands shake with anger and I just know I'm gonna either clock someone or get myself stabbed. Texting with a proper punctuation. I always feel rude when doing that so I add smiley emoticons. K. Accepting an offer that doesn't benefit the other person too. Would you mind giving some examples of this? The reason I'm asking is there are a lot of cases such as car buying where you may think you've gotten an amazing deal and screwed over the salesperson, but in reality the dealership is able to make up any perceived losses on the back end. More like random gifts from friends or when you're 50 cents short and the cashier waives it. This happened to me recently. I was at the OMV getting a new driver's license, and when I tried to pay, they told me it was cash only. I was so annoyed because I had to use their ATM and pay the ATM fee. When the girl cashed me out, she spotted me some change out of her own purse so that she could give me a 5 back instead of 4 ones and some coins. I didn't ask and wasn't rude or anything. I think she just wanted to do it because their cash only policy is dumb. But I felt oddly guilty accepting her favor. Saying no thanks when offered more food. Especially at a family function, there's always those relatives that offer so much. I really don't need to eat that much food. The worst is when you say no thanks, I'm full sincerely, and they interpret it as you trying not to appear a greedy hog and keep insisting you have more. Interactions between game players and non-game players are exhausting AF. I'm not interested in your product or service. Please remove me from your distribution list. Oh, I don't feel rude on that. I enjoy it. Last night, my wife and I were at a Walmart picking up a few things. Between carrying bags full of liquid and a 40-pound box of kitty litter, we were singularly focused on getting to our car. But no, some guy trying to resell power and natural gas services makes eye contact and was like, "Hey, got a few minutes to talk?" I didn't even stop. Just said, "This is too heavy to talk." Like, I get that you're a salesman, but use your damn head. I'm carrying 60 pounds of shitrocks and water, and you wanna talk about reselling me electricity? Common sense. I didn't feel even remotely bad about not even giving him a second look. Discussing salary. It's a good way to make sure you and your co-workers are all being treated fairly. The only people who have ever told me that discussing salary is rude were managers and bosses. It's illegal to keep you from doing it in the US. Yeah, but you can also get fired for literally no reason. If you can demonstrate the reason was because you talked about your salary, you'll win a bunch of money in court. Telling people what you want as far as your boundaries. I really don't like being touched. Please don't touch me. I prefer not to text a lot during work hours. I don't like making last minute plans. Next time please let's set up plans ahead of time. I don't think we really click. I don't think this is working. But standing up for your boundaries encourages people to stand up for theirs. 2. I'm a germaphobe and asking people to not touch my stuff is always awkward and weird. But I still do it cause duck what they feel. Accepting a gift with a simple thank you. East Asian here. The act of pretending to turn gifts down and the giver insisting and going back and forth for a 3 ducking hours and eventually accepting the gift anyway just ducking irritates me to no end. My mom is Chinese from Hong Kong, so many of our family friends like to do the whole fight to the death over the restaurant bill gambit. She got so sick and tired of the back and forth that she decided one day that going forward, she would just accept the offer with a smile and, "Okay, thank you, I'll pay next time." We've stopped fighting over it now, and it's so much less exhausting for everyone involved. Putting your money in your wallet after a purchase with a line behind you. I am so fumbly with that. I always just take my merchandise and stand near the door out of the way of the line so I don't annoy people. When I was a little kid, my mom told me that I don't need to feel rushed to put my money away if there are people waiting in line behind me because I earned the right the time to do it by waiting in line myself, and that everyone before me and after me is entitled to their time doing that too. That stuck with me for some reason. Asking someone to please move. I remember going to a street fair with my dad as a child, and there was this family, mother, father, and 4 or 5 kids, with their hands all joined together in a line. They spanned all the way across the road, were walking infuriatingly slow, and were just generally in everyone's way. As we approached, my father gently took a wrist of each of the parents in his hands. He made long, Uncomfortable eye contact with the dad while he separated their hands and gestured my sister and I through the gap. He then walked through and gently but deliberately closed their hands back together like a door. The awkwardness was obviously intentional, but I can't help but think of that and shuddering with awkwardness whenever I feel the need to ask someone to move. Denying a handshake these days. I haven't seen very many people since March, but last week I had to meet a couple guys for work. We all wore masks and distanced and such, introduced ourselves, and no one even offered a hand to shake. There was never a moment where I had to decline, but the fact that it didn't even happen at all was just so alien. For my entire life it's been nice to meet you, shake hands, and now it just isn't. Also, not holding the door open for someone. At our post office, all the polite older gentlemen stand there and hold the door for you, which makes it impossible to distance. Just go through the door and keep going. It used to be semi-rude, but now it is courteous. Saying you need space time to yourself. I don't know why, but it always feels like I'm being rude when I tell people this, even though it's just part of life and needing some alone time to think and reflect. Giving PPL the thumbs down motion, especially when driving. My dad and I do that instead of flipping PPL off. Gets PPL madder than shit, but it's still hilarious. Not continuing the pay it forward at drive-thrus. It's happened several times to me, and I've always reciprocated. I've hit a financially rough time, and I'm working 6 days a week starting at 5:30. If I miss a coffee, the rest of my morning will feel like hell, even though I'm pushing my budget to get one. The cashier told me my coffee was paid for already, so I left a small tip and went about my way. I'll pay it later when circumstances are better. For a long time it didn't occur to me that you were supposed to do that, and to me it feels like it kinda defeats the point. Like now we're all still paying for our stuff, but the price is gonna be a mystery? Nah, I just graciously accept my free thing and then pay it forward to someone else. Somewhere else. I guess what I'm trying to say is don't feel bad. Edited for punctuation. I agree. It doesn't make sense to pay it forward right then cause nobody gets anything good. I had a friend who used to say if a waiter gives you free food you have to tip the amount of the food on top of your tip. But then I'm still paying for the free food. Asking, how do we know each other? I remember you. It's just been a while. Help me out. Don't be offended please. It's not rude but it kinda hurts. Rejecting kiosk workers feels rude, but I digress. I went to a mall and I have really big, thick hair. One girl asked me if I ever straighten it and I said no, and she was like, well, this straightener is easy, less damaging. Let me try it on you. And I said no thanks, and then she's like, come on, I insist. And I was like, no ducking, thank you. Then like an hour later I walked by the same kiosk again and a different guy was working and asked to try the straightener on my hair and I said no. And he asked why not and I said because I don't like straightening my hair. He's like, well, this is not time consuming. And I got really mad and kinda yelled, I'm not buying a hair straightener from you. No, you cannot hold my infant son. Go away and take your potentially disease-ridden breath with you. Why do people feel entitled to touch other people or their children? No clue. And I'm afraid my wife will be arrested for second-degree murder in the produce section at Walmart. Asking someone to correct your food order. So true. But after working in a restaurant it doesn't make me feel so bad. If it comes out cold, well, it's not the waiter's fault but it stresses them out. But a customer should never eat something they're not satisfied with. Making a decision. When someone asks you where you want to eat, for example, an actual suggestion is way better than I don't care. Where do you want to eat? What if I really don't care or have any particular ideas? Giving direct, no bullshit answers. It can depend on what you mean by no bullshit. If you speak plainly and directly but politely, sure. If you're one of those people who calls themselves a straight shooter in order to excuse unnecessarily aggressive behavior, then no. For women, Being straight up and telling a guy you are not interested anymore. For reference, I was briefly seeing someone at the start of the year, and while I thought it was going decently well, she eventually told me that she was at a point in her life where she was too busy with school career ambitions to continue dating. While I was bummed out for a short while, I really appreciated that she was polite and direct in telling me that. Was she actually too busy to date? I don't know. It's not my business to know, and it doesn't really matter. What matters is that she saved both of us time and effort just telling me she wasn't interested anymore. However, this only works as far as the other party is a rational actor. I can completely understand why people resort to ghosting, giving fake numbers, being indirect, etc. As the best case scenario for many women is the other party understanding and leaving them alone. The worst case scenario is that the other party becomes angry, aggressive, threatening, etc. Yes, it's hard to break up with someone you are dating, and it's okay to break up with someone you are dating, unless you marry the first person you date. Breakups are going to happen. Just being not interested anymore in a person is okay, but finding any way to tell that to someone is hard and can make people feel guilty. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.